Morning, good morning. It is extremely early, dark 30, and somehow this page came off. I don't know how it came off. That graphics plastic that I got is very thick. I don't know if they're all that thick, but I think it just pulled the tape off. And I must have not trained it very well last night. So, anyhow, the prompt today is nails, and I decided to do some painting because it's super early in the morning and I have to be quiet, so I'm going to have to do a voiceover, which is what I'm doing now, which is several hours later. However, nails. I'm like, what the heck am I gonna do? Why do I do this to myself? Why? And I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna paint some nails. And the construction crew next door comes and goes. Like they're here for an hour, gone for 5, here for an hour, gone for 3, here for half a day, gone the rest of the time. But I'm still picking up nails from them, even though they say they don't drop any. Or they pick them all up. And every day I go out there and I pick up nails. So I'm like, okay, I can paint nails. It's just kind of like a tea, not to be confused with the Tesla tea. But I don't know if I have the right color. I don't have any black right here. I could have used something else. But I just got out my painter's cover up paper, whatever you call this, masking paper for painters. And I started painting nails. Again, not Tesla teas, nails. And I kind of wanted the stem of the nail to really drag down as if it were a point, kind of like more like thumbtacks, but in the reality of what we're doing today, it's nails. So, and then my mind just started wandering, much like it usually does. I was like, nails. And I'm not even sure how I was going to use this. I just got caught up in the methodical, meditative process, as one does at time. And I painted a whole sheet of nails. And then I wondered, what if you made them different colors? So I decided to cut my paper and roll out another sheet of paper. And these are like maybe a yard long, not quite a yard long, probably like 20 plus inches. Although I realized I had a little bit more space here. And I just kind of liked the look of all these teas, and they could be used for other things, other backgrounds, whatever. And I just really went in with the meditative process because it was like 4 in the morning. And then I thought, maybe I need to add some more color to these. I'm like, nope. Make separate sheets of different colors. So, as one does at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I really got into the meditative state. I don't know. There's just times where things, real life takes you places, and Hulu on the Disney Channel takes you places. Crazy murder plots and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I think we all need a bunch of nails in our lives. I do, at least apparently, because I painted and I painted and I painted and then I painted some more. And I haven't said it in a long time, but the one of the main reasons I do all of this is, first of all, I love paper, I love fiber, I love art. I'm not good at it, but I do have an A plus in having fun doing it. And then I had some brown bags that I've kept from different things from the grocery store. And I'm like, okay, I can use those to paint on, because I was thinking different textures. What could I use as a different texture? And I don't know. I think meat came in this bag from some grocery store. It must have been Piggly Wiggly. They might still use paper bags. I'm not sure. Anyhow, we have a really good Piggly Wiggly by us here. And so I got out this thicker paper and I painted more on here, and then I went in with blue, just blue. And I'm like, God, why is this so much fun? And the whole time I'm doing this, each nail was asking the question, why are you doing this, lady? Why are you painting 100 nails? Literally, maybe 200 this morning. And And then I'm thinking Nine Inch Nails. If you're a child of rock and roll, of whenever they were, I don't even know what kind of music they play, but I know the name, the Nine Inch Nails band. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to look that up. And my mind is just, still dwelling on the Murdoch murder stuff that I went on and on and on about yesterday, and which was horribly horrible of me to do that, to assume that you would want to hear about all this stuff about Southern uh, messed up families and culture and messed up entitled families. And I'm like, why did you say all that yesterday? And then Nine Inch Nails, and then it's 4:30 in the morning, and then I'm like, what other colors can I do? I'm like, oh, here's an Amazon envelope, and I'm like, well, I can't exactly put that swish in my journal because I'll probably get in trouble for that. So I'm like, okay, pink teas, pink teas, and then I went to the pink ladies in the movie Grease, and I mean, it just rolled on at 4:30 in the morning. My mind was just going in a million different directions, and how lovely our weather has been here. It's in the, high 70s, and just right. We went and looked at the lights last night after dusk, and all the Halloween decorations that come out towards the weekends and the weekends. And meditative state, as I say that again, meditative state. And going back to why do I do this every day, then I remembered I brought this whole stack of paper from home. I'm like, okay, what can I paint in here? And then that yellow paper just started screaming at me, use me, use me. And I'm like, what can I do with this yellow piece of paper? I'm like, could it be the background of my nails? I don't know. And that literally is a wipe off page from something, most likely Jelly Plate. And then this is Amy Tangerine paper, I believe, and I painted pink tees on that because I'm sure she would approve of pink nails on her green paper. But again, going back to why do I do this every day? Part of it is therapy. And this to me screams therapy. And at times I wonder how some of these painters can still, like Rex Ray, how did he manage to do those dots over and over and over, millions of them in his lifetime of painting, and hundreds of them at times on paintings? How does one's brain, if you're not entitled and from a really dysfunctional Southern family that drinks a lot, you can be dysfunctional in other modes too, but these particular families drink a lot. It's like, how do you, oh, and that's the acetate, not the acetate, but graphics plastic. And then how do you get from that state to tell them you need to paint teas at 4:30 in the morning, as all good people do? Then the teas kind of got repetitive finally. I'm like, circles, 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 my favorite thing of, and all these colors are still in that paintbrush and close by if I don't have enough on the paintbrush. And they were kind of starting to morph into each other, and uh like a, oh, what do you call it when the colors kind of degrade in shades? Anyhow, I'm like, oh, this paper's pretty too. And then I'm like, if the therapy, I apparently needed a lot of therapy this morning at 4:30, and this really, really did the trick. That and the jigsaw puzzle that I'm doing, and I'm like, I don't know. The human brain is such a crazy, crazy thing. It makes people like me who talk about nothing all day. And I'm back to teas with, this is the branding of the nail head. It's a T brand, whatever the T stands for, tough maybe. Um, and I could not stop. That's the point of what I'm trying to say. I could not stop. Everything needed, every little piece of paper needed a T on it. I'm like, okay, you really don't need this many T's for your journal page today. However, it is causing you great, great calm and I even contemplated going back to bed after this, but I couldn't. I was too wound up. I was too wound up because my mind was racing. Why, over and over and over. And how in the heck did you manage to do this for 40 minutes this morning at 4:30 in the morning? Paint teas. And the meditative state that it took me to. And that's the therapy process that I so much enjoy, doing this every single morning. Then I decided I still have paint on my paintbrush. Let's paint this paper a little bit more. The meditative state that it takes me to every morning. And even and I think that might be repetition because I have, now it says I have 2,000 videos. And it's like, how in the world can this lady make 2,000 art videos and still thoroughly enjoy it? Because it brings me calm. It brings me happiness. It brings me um, a high that people use alcohol for. In other families, I use paint. And then I'm like, okay, how am I going to approach this? All my paint is still wet, obviously, and I can't get the heat gun out. Even though it's quiet, I would still wake up the dog, who would then wake up the husband. And and uh and we have a new name for him because I can't say his name on social media anymore. So I'm like, his name is Ruler because he does rule our household. So Ruler would wake up, and I'm like, okay, how am I going to use this piece of paper as a background? I think I want it as a background, but look at it. It's just spilt paint. So guess what I embroidered on the background? You got it. Teas. it just, it didn't stop this morning. It was so, it literally was like a meditative high. I can't explain it any other way in layman's terms because those are the only ones I know. But it really simply, there's Ruler right there. My husband's painting the upper deck because the sun has beaten down onto it and people scratched it with furniture and blah, blah, blah. But it really brings you, I'll try to close a couple of these doors. It really brings you into a calm. And that's why people love sewing by hand, the slow sewing movement, um, stitching the same stitch over and over again. I love hand quilting quilts because it just is so meditative. And I love hand stitching the pieces of quilts together. Love it. Love it. Oh, if you want to see some good abstract quilts, Joe Cunningham. I've talked about him before. He just sent a bunch of quilts to different parts of the world for shows. And one in Armenia and one in Japan. And so he put out, because he has a storefront in San Francisco. So he wanted to put up some quilts so that his walls weren't bare. And he put up some old quilts and he was showing them. Oh, they're just completely, utterly abstract. But he does a lot of hand sewing. He does a lot of computerized quilting where you stitch the 3 layers together. And they all always mean something, always. But he does a lot of it by hand also. His quilts are fabulous in the most abstract, weird sort of way. He would approve of this yellow background for sure in a quilt. So then I'm going through my tiny scrap box and thinking, teas. Not teas, really. They're nails. They're nails. How can I make some more nails? And I don't want them all the same. And then I cut out the one that's on the graphic plastic. Just because it was a totally different texture than I was expecting in this process at 4:30 when I sat down and started painting, not knowing what I was going to do. But I love the texture that it's bringing to this grungy leftover paint piece of yellow kids construction paper with all these other ones. So then I started making teas out of scraps. Did I use any of the other teas that I painted? All the hundreds of teas I painted? Probably not hundreds, but tens and tens of paints of teas. Nails. I actually do think I used one other one, but they were all still wet by the time I got to this point. But having the time of my life, I could see, I think about this a lot too. Y'all are going to get some insight into how my brain works and how crazy, it is. But there was a show years ago, movie about Van Gogh and the friendship he had with Gauguin and how they drank themselves into oblivion. But they were of the age in history where we didn't know, that's a Stabilo, we didn't know a lot of stuff about mental health, obviously, and how a meditative state could maybe cure you and of anxiety, things like that. And I think that's part of what was wrong with Van Gogh. He had depression, he had anxiety, he had, in my rare education, I think that's what he had. And he had mixed it with alcohol and all of that goes haywire. And if he could only have painted nails at 4:30 in the morning, and they would stay up for days painting, and then you'd crash. I wished he could have found a meditative state. And I'm not whispering some kind of woo-woo into your heads. Oh, I do get out some. I do get out. This is the earliest one I started with because it was dry, or at least some of it was dry. But the therapy aspect of sitting here with a paintbrush, this is selfishly why I do it, some of what I do. It's because of the therapy from it. It's a gorgeous sunny day here. The sun is now brighter because of my approach to it today with all of this. I know this sounds woo-woo. I know this sounds woo-woo. And I'm revealing way too much of the way my brain works, but oh, to find, I wish everybody had the opportunity to find what brings them into a meditative calm, and I think we'd be a whole lot better off. We would understand why everybody is different and why everybody should be different and why it's okay to be different and it's actually better if people are different. And would you understand all that by painting nails over and over again? Probably not. But it would give you a calmness that you could approach things in life differently, maybe, hopefully, with a calm. And maybe it's just certain brains. I don't know. Um, I'm like Lucy in Charlie Brown handing out 5-cent, therapy sessions. But it's so valuable, underrated, the calm you can get from painting nails, literally, on different pieces of paper, sometimes plastic, sewing nails into a grungy piece of scrap paper that belongs in the trash. And sometimes it turns out that it goes into a Halloween journal. And it's one of your favorite pages. How is that even possible? I don't know. Is it because of what it did to my brain today? Possibly. A lot of woo-woo went into this, but in the best sort of way. And I'm not throwing those other nails away. And I've got the end of the video. I show my bathroom floor where all the other paper is that I painted. It's gorgeous. I came back in here after like 2 or 3 hours or more. Now it's 10:30. I guess that's 6 hours. Good grief. It's nap time. And then I added just tiny slashes of gold because there was gold on this yellow piece of paper from something. And I kind of went over the T and connected the nails and the yellow paper by doing that. And, oh, I can't wait to play with this in Procreate. I've got some errands I have to run today because we're going to Charleston on Saturday to see my husband's daughter. And then, and Ruler's coming with us. But some friends are coming in today from Columbia, and they're going to be here over the weekend. So I've got some errands I need to run. Anyhow, all that to say, even the errand running tasks aren't going to be as bad as they should be today, because this is just incredibly, incredibly therapeutic. Yes, I didn't stop yet, but what I did do was hide the word nail. I just put the letters spread out across the page. I love doing that kind of stuff. But I didn't like how I did the N, so I kind of scratched over it so you can't tell what it is, and I put a different direction. But and then there's a nail on that little piece of paper dangling from the thread. I love this. And I know, please don't think I'm, you know what, shit, blankety blank, blank, blank crazy. It was so much fun. Look at all that paper. Stop talking. Thank you for watching. I'll promise I'll be normal, semi normal tomorrow. Bye.